The attacks on Edward Snowden coming out of his interview with Brian Williams are here. We're going to start with John Kerry. We're going to start on the Democratic side. Now, this is in relation to what Edward Snowden said about why he ended up in Moscow.
The reality is I never intended to end up in Russia. I had a flight booked to Cuba, onwards to Latin America, and I was stopped because the United States government decided to revoke my passport and trap me in Moscow airport. So when people ask, why are you in Russia? I say, please, ask the State Department.
So they did ask the State Department, and John Kerry responded to Edward Snowden's allegations. Let's go to that.
Well, for a supposedly smart guy, that's a pretty dumb answer, frankly. Look, I'm not going to get into who he was, what he was. Let me just say this. If Mr. Snowden wants to come back to the United States today, we'll have him on a flight today. We'd be delighted for him to come back. And he should come back, and that's what a patriot would do.
Well, he'll be back in the country today. He will be in solitary confinement for the next 5 years tomorrow. That's how we treat our prisoners in America.
You know, I'm deeply saddened by John Kerry's tumble from, you know, his
heights in 2003, 2004.
Yeah, I mean, you know, now he's out to prove what a tough guy he is, and he has to speak very forcibly, and he's pro every single war. And he wants to take action, and he wants to speak strongly and call everyone else basically a pussy and a traitor.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of swift-boating Snowden right now. It's kind of ironic. He's kind of swift-boating him.
He learned.
He certainly did. You just kind of blanket accusation someone, you smear them constantly. You do it in the press against people who you know aren't going to question your smears, which they don't. You know what he does after he's smeared? He called Edward Snowden a coward and said he should man up and come back. And then Charlie Rose said, "Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We'll see you next time." That was what he said. He didn't go, "Wait a minute. What about all the bullshit you guys are talking about? Man up. Why don't you go and prosecute the war criminals that are currently walking around the United States giving commencement speeches right now? Condoleezza Rice and Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld and George W. Bush, who go on television and brag about ordering war crimes, and you still don't man up and go and prosecute those guys. But you will go man up and get Edward Snowden. That maybe you're really not a man, John Kerry, because you seem to always stand up in a forceful way for the wrong shit. When you should have stood up for yourself, you didn't, and now you're smearing someone else just as badly as they smeared you. You're right. I got rid of I used to proudly wear my John Kerry t-shirt from 2000. I would always wear it. I love that t-shirt, right? Because we all can agree in America that George Bush being reelected was a big mistake. So I would always wear that, and now I don't even wear it to bed anymore. I'm not kidding. Like, I can't stand John Kerry. He turned into the thing he used to fight against. He became the thing that he used to throw his medals against, right?
That's right.
He disowned his own medals, and now he's doing the exact same thing.
That's what happens, unfortunately, when you join the administration of another person. Like, he wanted influence in the Obama administration, but unfortunately all he did was get influenced.
Yes.
And you have to say crazy things. Look what happened to Colin Powell. Like, men of at least some integrity and honor can be absolutely destroyed by being integrated into a damaged and broken political system.
I agree, and I think that's what's deeply disappointing and saddening about all of this, because it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, whether it's Obama, Kerry. I mean, who's the next person? I mean, would they all be corrupted?
Clinton got out fairly early, I guess.
And become useless for the right side. I mean, they all become co-opted by the establishment, and power is what they defend. They go after the little guys like whistleblowers and someone like Snowden, but the ones who have power, like you said, the guys going around the country giving commencement speeches, making millions of dollars, who drove our country into a needless war and
ordered war crimes,
thousands and thousands of deaths. I mean, I still look back at the video. We have a video of Rumsfeld saying, weapons of mass destruction, they're somewhere north, south, east, and west of Tikrit region area.
We know where they are.
If you go far enough around, just circle the globe. You'll find them eventually.
You'll find them.
Yeah.
And that guy is smug still about his leadership during that war.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So that's the initial criticism coming from the left. I don't even know if he's really on the left anymore, but from the Democrats anyway. Let's turn to the Republicans. Here is Peter King, representative of New York.
This is this whole myth that's developed around Edward Snowden, and unfortunately I think Brian Williams almost added to that last night, basically giving him an infomercial. Brian Williams did not ask Ed Snowden one basic question. Give the name of one American whose rights have been violated. Give one instance where the NSA has violated the statute, where it has violated the court. The fact is that with all of this talk, they cannot give one example of any American's rights being violated. In fact, this is the most scrutinized, carefully regulated, monitored system we have.
I would like to give one name of a person whose rights have been violated: Peter King. Brian Williams, I'll give you two. John Iadarola, that's a third. The two of you, every single American, everybody watching these videos, not just the Americans, many of you abroad, we're also spying on you, collecting your phone calls, your internet traffic data, your emails and things like that. It is a violation of our privacy rights to collect them. I don't care if you ever look into them. As I said months ago, if you take a video of me crapping, I don't care if anyone watches it. It was a violation when you took it.
Yes, and by the way, they can. They've been monitoring Skype phone calls and Skype things, and they've been recording them. In England did that. They recorded pictures of people on Skype, and then it came out of the... So, by the way, and Peter King, he's worried about this exposing us to terrorism now because of what Edward Snowden did, and if there's anybody who knows about terrorism, it's Peter King, because he's personal pals with a bunch of them. He's a terrorist pal-arounder. And, it's just, you listen to guys like Peter King, it is like listening to George Bush talk about Katrina. It's just like, totally disconnect. You're in another, what color is the sky in your world, Peter King? This guy, tell me one fucking person. Why do you ask? So what he's doing is he's, again, appealing to the people who vote for him, the dumbest people possible who still vote. Yeah. Somehow they still manage to vote.
Well, I think Peter King himself is an idiot, because he actually believes that we should spy on everyone. He's a complete authoritarian. He is the modern day Joe McCarthy.
Yes.
He wants to just spy on everyone who's Muslim. Everyone.
Yes.
Whether, I mean, it could be anyone in college. He wants to follow them around. He's crazy, and he wants. I mean, more spying the better. And if you base the spying on race and gender and ethnic background, then even better. He wants to do more spying than anyone ever. I mean, that's his thing. He's the spy master. He loves it.
Yeah, and again, he says, from his point of view, that these NSA programs are the most scrutinized, carefully regulated system we have. The only reason there has been any scrutiny is because of the leaks that Edward Snowden did last year, and carefully regulated, no, it's completely unregulated. Most of the members of the Congress and the Senate didn't know anything about these programs until it was brought up by Edward Snowden's leaks. Now, we also have John Boehner. Here is his criticism of Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden is a traitor to our country. He's damaged our ability to keep Americans safe here and abroad. And there's no other word that should describe him other than a traitor.
That is so symptomatic of the bullshit, right? Yeah, you did something that's going to make us less safe, and I'm not going to specify what that is. I'm not going to. Okay, so who is doing the regulating? Who is regulating the NSA? We don't know. How is it being regulated? We don't know. How is it being funded? We don't know. We don't know anything, okay?
In fact, when they asked the head of the organization, James Clapper, what they were doing, he lied to Congress. Yeah. He completely lied.
He totally lied. So, and the most obvious obvious lie ever, right? Yeah, and it's just unbelievable to me that the guy who ran the NSA was previously an executive at Booz Allen, and then the guy who runs it now, the guy who runs Booz Allen was a prior NSA guy. It's a revolving door, and how convenient they keep paying themselves a ton of money with taxpayer dollars for all this critical data mining. And talk about lack of transparency. How can they justify this cost? I mean, has there been any concrete evidence? Name one person who was saved by this NSA spying. One person, right?
Yeah. That's what I was getting.
Peter King likes the one name. Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah, just give me one name.
One terrorist plot that this is broken up. Give me one name of one terrorist organization plot that this is stopped. But the
it hasn't stopped anything. I mean, despite all this happening, we had the Times Square bomber, with a shoe bomber, with all these instances that were not stopped by the NSA.
Correct. And 9/11 could have been stopped without all this extraneous unconstitutional, illegal spying. We already had the information, and it was just ignored. So
Yeah.
you can't. There's no amount of subverting of the Constitution that's going to make George Bush less of a fucking idiot.
Yeah, so I just want to speak a little bit about that. Okay, so back in 2004, John Kerry said that the best way to fight against terrorism is to treat it like it's a police,
Yes.
good police work, treat it like your good old-fashioned police work, law enforcement issue. And he's absolutely right. And for that, he got a heap of shit from the right saying, no, we have to use all of our military might to fight against terrorists, which is just not true. And how do you do that? Well, you effectively use the banking system and our allies to find and pinch the terrorist networks and deprive them of the funds that operate it. But we can't go after them because we let HSBC and other big banks do whatever they want, launder all the money, funnel all the money to the terrorists. That's okay. We have the NRA allowing people on the terrorist watch list to buy guns because that's okay. So we have all these bullshit ways of fake fighting terrorists by spying on Americans and data mining and diverting taxpayer funds to those industries. At the same time, we have very legitimate and powerful tools that we're not using because we are beholden to those who, funnel money back into politics. And, losing allies and having our name besmirched around the world is the best way to not find terrorists, because we need the cooperation of all the law enforcement agencies across the entire globe to find these terrorists.
Well, and also the actual people living in these regions. Like, we used to be able to do old-fashioned human intelligence, recruiting sources in countries around the globe, because those people preferred being involved or having America and the American government involved than having groups like Al-Qaeda. Like, they don't trust us anymore. They trust these extremist, radical terrorist groups. That's why they're funding them. That's why they're sheltering them. Perhaps if we didn't have as our main anti-terrorist policy to kill a member of every family in Yemen and Pakistan, then maybe they'd want to work with us, and maybe they'd give up the terrorists rather than being actively recruited by them.